Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Today is the start of our seasonal sale. So, before we get to the card that I'm making today, I want to tell you a little bit about the seasonal sale that is started today and runs for 3 days until Thursday, November 18th. So, we've got, sorry, wait. I need to figure this out. I think it starts November. Let me pull up the banner. Yes, here it is. November 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. So it runs through until Friday. For some reason, I thought it stopped on Thursday, but it's actually 4 days if you include today. So that's fabulous. Now, this sale is on all annual catalog products that are stamp sets, dies, punches, designer series paper, and embossing folders. And there's varying percentages off on all of those annual catalog items. So it's a big sale and lots of products in it. So if you want to check it out, go down below in the description of the video and look for a place where it says online store or shop with shop Stampin' Up, and that will take you over to the Stampin' Up store. And then when you get there, you're going to look for the big banner up at the top that says seasonal sale, and that will take you to the page with all of the sale items. And these items are while supplies last. So if they run out during the sale, then they won't be able to get more in during the sale. So especially things like the designer series paper that's on sale. It's all of our non-specialty designer series paper. That might sell out quicker because people will buy more of one pack, and it's also cheaper. So just keep that in mind if you're wanting to purchase things. Try and do it today. Today's the best day because you're going to have the most selection and the least amount of products that have already sold out. So check it out because I even have some things that I have sitting in an order that I'm going to place today just because it's such a great sale. Okay, today is also Casing Tuesday, and that's the day when we take a card out of the catalog and we give it a makeover. And I've been doing this for years, and it's great for beginners. It's great for people who've been around for a while. And I'll tell you why. Because we have a card that's a starting point. We take it out of the annual catalog. Almost everyone has access to the catalog, whether it's in PDF form or whether it's so I should say everyone has access to it because you can view the PDF online, and that's just a click away. And if you have the annual catalog or the holiday catalog, which this card is from, in your hands, you can actually just work off of that. And we create, so today's card, let me just pull it up, is right here. And it does blend into the background a little bit, so it might be better to take a look at the sketch. But that's our first sample card. And here is the sketch. And this one's a little easier to see all the individual layers. And you could delete a layer, you could tweak a layer size if you needed something to be a little smaller, a little larger. But these are the basic measurements of the card. And so you can build a card based on that. You don't have to have the supplies that are right here to create this card. Use supplies that you have on hand. And in a moment, actually, I'm going to hold up my card because I'm going to hold it up right after I remove this. So here is the card up on the screen that was the sample card, and here is my card. And you can see I actually didn't use the layers, but I thought this card looked a lot like the original card in terms of scale and like this piece that goes around. So it kind of reminded me, instead of having that layer, I created a window, and you can see I used window sheets, so it actually looks like a window. So I thought that was kind of cool when I was looking for what I would use for this card, and I thought this is perfect. And it was also perfect because I just used the same bundle on Friday, and when I switched my video, I'm going to share with you the box that I made on Friday just to show you how cool the matching ability is. So let me just switch over to the other camera. So have a look at this. Isn't this a cute little set now? I can close this up. This holds Ferrero Rocher chocolates. And it's a slider box. And if you were with me on Friday, you will see this box. I have a project sheet for this box. If you're on my email list, you should have received it on, I mailed it out Sunday morning. And if you didn't, if you get on my email list, you can get a project sheet for this little box. It also has a video, so you can look that up. You can work right from the video if you want. And I left the link for this box when you click over to my blog post today. It's in the, I think, second paragraph. There's a link to this blog post as well with all the information on how to make this box. But I think this card is just so cute and fabulous. I didn't do anything on the inside, but it's just so cute. I'm going to show you how I made it. So let's set this aside. And the first thing you're going to need is a card base. Actually, this is not a super hard card to make, actually. And it is 8.5 by 5.5. And then I scored in half at the 4 1/4 inch mark. And I'm just keeping it flat because I'm going to run this through with my die cutting machine. Let's bring this through. And I'll just tell you the sandwich real quick. We call the sandwich all the layers that you build up to put the die through the machine. So we've got our base platform, number 1, thin diatopter, number 2, a clear plate, and those all are the bottom. Then I'm going to put my cardstock, and I'm going to use, I didn't even talk about this today, did I? My Window Wishes bundle. This is the main ingredient of this card. And these are the window dies and the Window Wishes stamp set. And I'm going to be using this inner part. So you will need this die set if you want to make this card. This is what you need. So this is my card front right here. So I'm just going to eyeball this and center it. Just make sure it's straight. I think that's pretty good. I am a little bit of a perfectionist, so I just kind of like play with it too much. I'm going to turn this just a tiny bit. I can't turn it too much because this is only about 6 inches wide. But if I can get the die on an angle a little bit, it helps when it's going through the machine. So now I'm going to put my second plate on top, and then I'm going to run this through. I'm going to run it back in the same direction. Okay, so then it creates this cool little window right here. So let me just scoot these away. And the other thing I want to do is I'm going to cut 2 window frames. That's this piece right here. This time I'm gonna do one on the inside and one on the outside. I was making this card last night, and there was so many different ways I could do the vellum on this piece, or the window sheet. So I'm gonna do 2 frames. And the machine actually cranks in both directions, believe it or not. But I tend to only crank in the one direction. Okay. There we go. Now these 2 pieces you could use for another card, and I'm just going to put those away. And then I'm also going to cut I decided I'm going to do one with a frosted window out of vellum so we can compare them with the other one which was done with window sheet. So I'm going to run the frame through one more time, this time with vellum cardstock. And if you were doing this with a window sheet, this would be the time when you would switch this out and do this with window sheet. Okay, so we've got that. We need this inner piece. We don't need to keep this outer piece, but you might have a use for it for another project. Okay, I think we're done our initial die cutting. I have to come back and die cut a few more pieces, and we'll do that afterwards. I want to set up this card first though, because I want to let my glue dry a little bit. So first, let's close this card and fold it on the score line. I'm going to take my bone folder. Okay, and then we're going to take one of these frames and glue it to the front of the card. And I'm just wondering, like, I was debating whether or not to glue things to the front or the back, and for my window sheet I ended up gluing on the front of the card. So what I did was I took my glue, and see this little inside lip, all of the white area, I put a little tiny line of glue all on that white area, and then I set it aside to dry, and then I put my window sheet right in that frame. The one thing with that is vellum, when it has glue underneath, it tends to turn a little darker, and that's not the case with window sheet, because window sheet, the glue does dry clear, but when you have adhesive stuck to vellum, it often turns colors. So for the vellum, I thought we would glue it to the back. So this is what I decided to do for this one, since we're doing vellum. We can add a frame to the inside of the card as well. And what this allows me to do, I mean, I could just glue it right to the back. I could just put a thin line right along the edge and then take this vellum and then glue it onto there. But it's a little easier to place when you've got a frame to stick it in. So I thought I could just do this and stick this on the inside of the card. Get it kind of centered. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the glue on here right now. Just a tiny line of glue. If your glue is really oozing a lot, then you're going to have to find a way to calm it down and not put that much glue on, because you want it on all the little pieces, but you don't want big globs of it. So I'm also going to come back in and I'm kind of just spreading out the glue so that it's there's no real lines of glue. It's all kind of smushed down. Okay. So now I'm just going to let that dry for a moment because I don't want it oozing out at all. So we'll just set this aside to dry while we do all of our other stamping, and then we're going to add that little vellum piece to there. Okay, so now is stamping time. We're going to stamp this big piece, and I want to show you one little thing. This is the garland that goes over the door, and I'm just cleaning my stamp off camera. Okay, so I'm going to take this off the block for a moment because I want to show you this photopolymer stamp. When you've got a big stamp like this, and if you were just to like take this and put it on your block like this, you would probably not put it in the correct shape for the die because it's very floppy. And so when it's floppy, we tend to like maybe just to be a little bit out of alignment. So there's two things you could do. You can either just drop it on your work surfaces if it's not tacky, so that the stamp part, the part that you would stamp, is down. And then you could take your block and stick it on there. But I find that even that sometimes isn't 100%. So what can you do? You're going to take the matching die, and this is the cut side of the die. So the cutting side, because it's got the little raised part. So put the cut side down, and then put the side that you would stamp also down, and you're going to put that on top of here. You can kind of see you're going to feed it into where it would be. So I'm kind of just checking here. Once you get it aligned, you don't have to mess with it until you take it off the block and put it on again. But you can just kind of align it like that. Okay, so cut side down and stamp side down, and then you take your block and do that. And now this should be aligned perfectly for this die. So we'll take our garden green ink pad, very, very traditional colors that we're using, and just ink this up. Okay, it looks good. And then we'll stamp this down. And I had to use a big sheet of cardstock, but I realized that if I could do one this way and one that way, I would save myself a little bit of cardstock by doing that. Okay, and then the other thing I want to stamp is the candles, and they're over here. And I'm also doing garden green. I'm kind of being boring with my color choices, but there's nothing like red and green for Christmas cards, and they look good together, and why mess with that? It keeps the supplies down to a minimum. So those two things we need to run through the die cutting machine. So let's go ahead and bring that back in, and we'll run that through while we're waiting for our glue to dry on the window. And the same sandwich as before, and we'll put this one in here, and you just need to make sure that this wraps around here. Shift it so it looks good. And I don't know if I'm going to use Post-it tape on this, because I feel like it's a big die and I should be able to pin it pretty easily. I think I got it. And look at that. It's pretty close to being perfect. And that little trick really helped align the die with the stamp with the die. So I love that. With a big floppy die like that, that's the way to go. And then we've got this little piece here, and that is going to die cut our candles. And I might need to use some Post-it note tape for that. It's this stuff, labeling and cover-up tape, or use the top part, the sticky part of the Post-it note if you don't have this. And I'm just going to pin that down, and then we'll run that through, going in the opposite direction. Okay, and there's the little candles. And then we've got two more things to die cut. I want to have golden candle flames, and I want to have a gold bow to add to our piece. So I am going to die cut those out of gold foil sheet. They went flying, the little dies did. So we've got this little piece, those are the little flames. And then we've got this little piece, that's a bow. That almost looks like a little crown too, doesn't it? It's funny once you've got your little die shapes cut out and they look like different things. Okay, so now I think we're all set to assemble our card. Come through here. So in the meantime, I think this glue is pretty dry, so let's get this vellum on here before. So you know what I think? I'm just kind of looking at this now. Because the glue dried, I can't even see any of it. I think I could have stuck this on the card front. But the nice thing about not sticking this on the card front will be that you can see these lines a little bit better on the card front, like the little, what do you call those? They're the little cross pieces on the window, and they have a name, but those little things, you can see them a lot better because this is like the back of the card, so it would be like showing through there. So I think I do like how that turned out a little better by putting it on the back. And having this little frame here just helps everything. But look, I think it's like the window sheet. It didn't, because I spread it all around. I let it dry. There's no big blobs of glue. This is probably a good way now to attach vellum in the future. I'm going to have to experiment with that and see. Okay, so let's smoosh down this card, make it flat. And we've got a couple of things we need to add onto here. First of all, let's get our garland on here, because that's, I don't know, red and green. I don't know if it's just the colors together or if it's just a reminder of Christmas and the holidays. That just makes me happy. And just put that around the frame of the window. It's so pretty. And then we'll take this little bow, put a little dot. I'm just putting just a little tiny adhesive in the center, and we'll put that over on this side and just press that down. So with the candles on the window sheet, I kind of tucked them up behind here. But with this one, you just want to, first of all, get that aligned. So let's put a little dab of glue just underneath. I think I'm going to lay this down, and then I'll lay this on top. This is just really cool, having those candle flames sticking behind. Like normally in the past they would have had like little tiny gold flames that you would have had to add, but this is so much better. Now I want to see if I put that there, what does the back look like? I guess it looks all right. If you want to though, you could back that up by die cutting another piece. Let's do that. I just want to show you how you can do that to kind of make the back of the piece if you have a vellum or window sheet. So I'm just going to take the candles and die cut myself one more piece. And we'll use this as like a little backing piece so you don't see the outline of the candle flame in the background. So you just have to make sure it goes in the right direction. So it goes like this, and I'll put some glue on here, and then we'll just add that onto the back just to kind of finish off the back so it doesn't look all lumpy and bumpy, because you're going to be able to see it through the window. And now I'm going to adhere that right to the edge. this piece. Okay. Starting to look really good, huh? And then we're going to take our little banner piece. We're going to make a little banner. This is a little 3" by 1/2" piece of basic white, and I've got my banner's pick a punch. I'm going to use the banner that dents in, and I just run this through on the 1/2". I like to hold it up because I feel like with such a short piece sometimes it doesn't get centered properly, so I kind of hold it underneath. I'm kind of just holding it like this, and I hold it underneath. I'm even bending it a little bit like that and just pushing it through all the way, and then I'm just looking for a centered alignment. And you can just slide it down the slot and see how that goes for you, but I find that it's you get a little better centering on a short piece if you do it this way that I'm doing it. I'm going to turn this, and we'll just center this. And I'm going slow so you can see what I'm doing, but you can actually go faster. All right, there is my little banner. And I'm going to take real red ink and Merry Wishes from the same stamp set. And I'll just center it on there. And remember that original card had like a little greeting coming across here. So you could do that if you wanted to. You could have it come across there like that. But I ended up sticking it down here at the bottom. That's one of the tweaks that you can do with the cards that we make. You can rearrange things a little bit. They're a starting point, but as you're going along, for your particular card, you might need to make some changes just to make your card look even better. All right, and now just have one more thing to do. And these are our gold swirls. These are a limited time embellishment. They're really cool for Christmas. And they have adhesive backs. They're part of the Fitting Florets collection, but they are only going to be available until the end of the year, or they might sell out beforehand, and if they do, they won't be coming back. But I think they're just like really cute, and I think they add that little perfect little bling to that golden bow right there. So I guess I wanted to do like a little experiment. So we've got the two different cards here. I've got the one that I just made, which has got kind of the frosted window, and then I've got the one here with the clear window. I'm going to stick my fingers underneath both of them so you can see what the difference is. And I'm wondering, I'm kind of curious to see. I'm going to grab a scrap piece of cardstock. Since we have time, I'm going to play around just a little bit. I'm going to cut this piece just to match my inside of the card, and I'm going to stamp on it. So if I had been doing, I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller than 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay. So we'll come here. If I were to stamp a greeting on this piece in the center, I wonder how it would look like. Now the tricky part will be how to, I guess I can align this right here and then just center it. That's what I'm going to do. I was like, how is I going to get that right below there? I really like this long, skinny greeting. So I wanted to see what it would look like behind the frosted vellum, and I didn't have time last night. So let's experiment and see what it would look like. Because one of the things with this card is you don't want to have any writing that's going to be in the window area, because otherwise it's going to show through when it's flat. But I'm wondering if you do the frosted, the vellum look, whether or not it looks okay. So we're going to do, let's see, trying to think if we should do red or green. Let's do red for this greeting. And so I've got my scrap piece of paper in here. Normally I would stamp it right inside the card. And if I were doing this, if this is the way that I wanted to do this, before I put the vellum on, I would draw myself a little box right here and use that as a guide for my greeting. But since I've already put the vellum in there, I can't do that. So I'm going to do the next best thing, which is I'm just going to lay this flat on here, and I'm going to use a ruler, and I'm going to lay it across here. And so my greeting, if I center it from side to side and then make sure I just place it right here. Some of it's going to be hidden behind the candles, but I'm just wondering what that looks like. So let's check it out. Or maybe we choose a smaller greeting. Oh, a smaller greeting might be better. We can test that out next. So centered from side to side, just below there. Experiments. Okay, so pretending that this is the inside of the card and not a loose sheet. Okay, you would definitely want to make sure that you trace that window. So that doesn't look bad, but let's flip this around. And let's try, we have one more greeting to work with. How about this one? Or we could do for lots of joy at Christmas, since we're already. So align this again. This is still my scrap piece of paper that's on the inside for experimental purposes. Let's see if I can do a better job of centering this. If I could do this on my Stamparatus, but this isn't the way I would recommend that you would do it anyway. So let's stick that on there. So I want this to show up in there. So I'm just going to put that up right about there. Okay. So now when we close this, look at that. Isn't that kind of cool? I like that. That's kind of neat. And you could do that with the window sheet too. But the one thing you don't want to do is you want to make sure you make sure you don't write in this area. Otherwise, when the card is closed, it's not going to look good. So how I would do this is before I put the window sheet on, I would trace that box in pencil on the back of my card. So not on a sheet, but I would, before the vellum's on there, just trace a little pencil line and then stamp your greeting right in that little space. Of course, on this side, or I know, even better yet, don't even trace it. You could probably just stamp this right through if you didn't have the vellum, right? That would work even easier. And then you don't have to draw a pencil line, but you stamp right through. You've got your perfect little alignment. You keep it to the top because you're still going to put the candles on there, right? And then you put the glue, you let it dry, you put your vellum on there, and then you can see that through from the inside. And I think that's kind of cool because it's kind of like peeking through to the inside. Kind of cool. Okay, I learned a lot today from making this card, and I hope you did too. And you could do the same thing. Let me just pull this out. You could do the same thing if you did a window. That would look good too. Just center that a little bit because it's off. But you could do it with the window, or you could do it with the vellum. And it's just such a pretty card. It's like just the kind of the clean and simple red and green traditional card. It just looks so pretty, right? Just like kind of understated and sweet, but I love it. All right, I hope you liked that card today. I was so happy that I could use the window wishes again, and just looks so wonderful with this little Ferrero Rocher box. Then you can write a Christmas card. You have a host gift when you go. You give, and you can make more of these too. You don't just have to make one, but this is just a cute little box that matches everything together. All right, let's talk about my host code. So if you're ordering today, please use my host code. And I have my host code gift this month. I started off with, you can choose whatever stamp set you like. For every 50 you spend, you can choose one of my stamp sets. If you don't want to do that though, I will send you a surprise embellishment at the end of the month. And it's going to be like a full pack embellishment. I'm not sure which one I'm going to choose yet. It will be something that's available. It's not going to be this one, but I'm just telling you, it will be like a full pack of embellishments that and it will be from one of the current catalogs. So if you don't want the stamp sets, I will send you a surprise embellishment, and that will be a fun little gift at the end of the month. So you can let me know. I've got on my blog, let me see if I've got my host code. I don't have my host code, but if you go to cubiesquest.com and you click on host code, it's one of the menu items, that will take you to the page to choose stamp sets. So you can see what I have, and you can reserve in advance if you like. And and if you don't want that, then you'll get an embellishment at the end of the month. And that's if you have to spend at least $50 to get that. Okay. I am going to, I'll leave that host code up for just a little bit. And if you are just joining me now, don't forget we've got the seasonal sale going on. And here's the banner for that. It's November 15th to 18th. And it's on all annual catalog, stamp sets, dies, embossing folders, paper, and punches. And they're all varying percentages off. And to see that sale, just go down below and look for the shop now or store link. Go to the Stampin' Up store from there and look for the big banner up at the top that will say seasonal sale, and click on that, and that will take you to the page with all the items that are on sale. But this is just for annual catalog products, not for holiday catalog products. Okay, let me go and talk to you guys this morning. Good morning, Pam. Oh, and if you have any questions about my card, please ask me while I'm live so I can show you stuff on my screen. Good morning, Janine. Good morning, Deborah. Good morning, Ellie. Janine, like my little tip about lining up the stamp in the die, it works really well with big floppy stamps. With the smaller ones, like for instance, like the little candle, that one is not floppy. It's not going to distort. There's nothing to distort. But if you have anything that's dangling off your photopolymer stamp set and it's feeling floppy as you put it on there, for a smaller one, I would probably just drop it on my surface and then pick it up with the block. But if it has a matching die and you need to match it up, then do that little trick. That should work pretty well. Good morning. Good morning, Louise, and good morning, Deborah. Good morning, Corrine. I don't think you've been here before. So nice to have you here. Ellie said she just loves this. Oh, I'm so glad. Deborah said she loves the design versatility of this bundle. It is a really fun bundle to work with. And it's one that I didn't get until later. I didn't have this one right at the beginning. I just got it recently, so I guess I didn't know how cool it was until I made that first box, and now the card. I really, really like this bundle. So Pam said, what if you made a card trifold and stamped on the very inside? That way your sentiment won't show. Yes, that's a good idea. You could make this a trifold card and then your greeting wouldn't show. So you could instead, I think you would do 11 inches by 5.5. I'm trying to think. That would make it a little smaller. I'd have to work out the dimensions. Like you could split. It wouldn't be 11 inches. I think it would be whatever something could be divided by 3 into if you wanted just the perfect trifold. Or I don't know, you might want to do like a shorter first side. I don't know. I would have to experiment, but that's a really good idea if you didn't want the greeting to show. But I actually did end up enjoying seeing that greeting like peeking through. I thought that was kind of cool how that ended up working out. So I didn't mind that at all. Corrine said, wonder if you use the flocked vellum to make it look like it's snowing outside. Yeah, you could. And you could do more embellishing too. Like I kept it very simple, but what also would look really nice on this garland is putting some real red rhinestones on it, and you can bling this up a lot more than I have. I thought this would actually make a really nice Christmas card, even if you had to make multiples of it. I thought it would be special enough to do and wouldn't make you go too crazy, although it does have a few die cuts, so that might make you if you started early enough, it would be okay. All right. Ellie said, or glue plain paper to the inside of the front so the greeting can go inside. Yeah, there's different options if you wanted to have a bigger space to write on the inside. But if you're like me and you spent a lot of time on the card and now you actually have to write the Christmas cards, you're not going to get very much writing in your Christmas card because I ran out of steam. So for people like myself who take a lot of time making the card and don't have the time to write in it, that's the perfect card because you put the person's name up the top, you put your name down on the bottom, and you're done. And that makes me very happy. Hello, Mary. Good to see you. And Louise said, beautiful. And Pam thanked me. Have a great day. Ellie said, wonderful card for the season. Well, thank you everyone for being here this morning. I really appreciate that. It's always nice to have some banter back and forth so that we can talk. I will be back with a new project for you on Friday, and I do that on my YouTube channel. So I hope you will join me Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time there. And that project will either be a 3D or it will be a fanciful card. I haven't decided yet. All right. Have a great week. And don't forget to check out that seasonal sale going on right now. It ends on November 18th, 2022. So it started today. So now's the best chance to have the best selection if you check it out today. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye-bye.